Cuba para siempre. Cuba, que viva Cuba. Cuba para siempre. Cuba para siempre. Cuba para siempre. Cuba, Cuba, que viva Cuba. Cuba para siempre.
This archaeology.
Get out of there, Dan! All right, we should both be live. Say something. Hello, everyone.
Hey, something.
Cool.
Good morning, and yeah, welcome to the new morning show of You Call This Archaeology Live.
Hopefully, we can keep this up.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
before we
hopefully.
started, because there's a whole bunch of stuff like that we should talk about. But you know, the other day I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts. Oh, excuse
Mhm.
me. And at the very end, they announced, "Oh, we're ending this podcast." And then they
Oh,
were going
I
through all
mean,
their memories and blah blah and stuff like that. And the thing that got to me was the fact that they were so close to episode 700.
mhm.
And you know, and I forget how many years it took them to do that, like 10 or something. And as I was
Jeez.
driving along and listening to it, I was thinking, I wonder how you'd end the CRM Arc podcast. Would you like do a lead up, or would you just be like, all right, this is our last podcast, goodbye? Or something like that.
I think we would just end it, to be honest with you. But here's the
Really?
thing about that show: as long as there's people that still want to do it, then we'll keep it going. I have been asking the current host. I've been saying, hey, I'm
Yeah.
more than happy to give away the primary hosting duties because I'm the one that organizes the shows, and I'm there on every single one of them, usually for the most part. And I'm more than happy to give up that position and then just show up occasionally, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like 10 years is a lot, and we're coming up to 10 years on that show in February. And
Wow.
yeah, I know it's a lot.
Are you doing anything for that?
And Bill and Doug, well, we were thinking about doing something in Portugal at SHA,
I
like a
remember
live
that.
event, because but I don't think we're going to go anymore. Recent events have kind of soured me on, I wouldn't say the profession necessarily, but working with people at that typically go to those conferences and
Yeah.
doing those sorts of things. Like, I think we'll just do our own thing through the APN. We've got a live event coming up soon that we don't have too many details on yet, but it is
Ooh.
coming up soon in November. It looks like, if we can pull this together, and then another one 3 months later.
Yeah.
And then I think we're just gonna maybe focus on doing our own thing. So yeah, just put it that way.
Oh,
But
and
either way, if somebody, as long as we still have people, in the CRM industry and
yeah.
talking about these things, then that podcast in particular will always be relevant as long as there's somebody to do it, because there's always something to talk about.
Of course.
Even if you're rehashing old topics, there's new perspectives and new things going on, every year. So yeah.
Oh my God. You know what? Before I started listening to it, I was just like scanning through the APN feed, and I was looking at Archaeotech this week, and I'm like, wow, you're running an Archaeotech, rerun on an Archaeotech thing. But then I realized it was the Rock Art podcast. You were just talking about VR. Which is very
Yes.
coincidental. It's almost like
Well,
it
that's
fits the
why I
theme.
ran it there. Well, and I'm trying to find stuff as we're running. I'm calling them promo episodes for the
Yeah.
month of October. I'm trying to find episodes that are relevant to that audience. That if I can. Sometimes it's not possible, but I'm trying to find stuff that I think the audience would still enjoy, but realizing it's on a different podcast with different hosts and different agenda. So that's kind of the point. I want to be something completely off the wall, but just trying to expose them to new shows.
So
but
no
with some
historical
sort of
yarn.
relevance.
Was it historical yarn episodes on anything?
No. I mean, I would do it if the show was still going. And so
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I've been following the Roadster Instagram, and there was like mention of fruit flies, and I'm like, wow, what is that? I'm curious now.
what are fruit flies? Are you
No,
serious?
like what are mentioning? You were mentioning fruit flies, and like, what's the story behind that?
Oh man. Well, sometimes when you go to certain places like this park that we're at right now, just happens to have a lot of insects, and fruit flies in particular. We generally have our windows closed during the day because we'll just, we're either outside or out doing something,
Yeah.
or even if we're inside, but we just leave the windows closed because it's just a little too warm here.
Yeah.
And we don't want the inside to get hot, so we let the air conditioning run.
Yeah.
But the little tiny fruit flies can still get in. And even if, I mean, RVs are not completely sealed up, and they find a way. And even, I mean, they can even find a way in between the panes of glass in the window when it's closed. But also, our Starlink cable kind of goes out one of the windows, and we've got a towel to kind of take up the space when you close the window on the cable.
Oh yeah.
But there's just tiny little spaces there that they can get in. So I mean, there's not a ton of them in there. That jar that I put a picture of that has like 50 of them dead in there was over the course of a few days.
Wow.
So we're not like inundated inside with a cloud of fruit flies, but they are annoying to the point where we had to do something about it. So we're currently in. Behind me is Brantley Lake. It's a reservoir made off the Pecos River, and we are about 15 miles north of Carlsbad, New Mexico, and about 60 miles south of Roswell, New Mexico. So that's where we're at, but we're leaving today. Yeah.
Like leaving New Mexico or just leaving that site?
Both. Yeah. Ooh. So we're headed towards Austin, Texas by the end of next week, ultimately. But we're stopping tonight somewhere. I don't know where. My wife scheduled something for us at a hip campsite, and then tomorrow we'll be at campground until Thursday, actually. Yeah. So then we go to Austin to the Formula One track. But
God, I forgot about that.
On Wednesday, though, there's a company called the American Veterans Archaeological Recovery, something or other. I can't remember what the rest of it is, but Avar. I've interviewed Stephen Humphreys, who's the guy that runs it.
Yeah.
I've interviewed him at least once, maybe twice on various shows, and I get their newsletter, and I saw that they were doing a excavation for like the Medina War, they call it, or something like that, or the Medina Battle of Medina or something. I don't even know what conflict it was.
Yeah.
I don't remember from looking at the thing, but they're doing this, and we're staying at Lake Medina outside
interesting
outside San Antonio. So I was like, hey, that sounds like you're going to be really close to where we're at. So on Wednesday, I'm going to be going out there to the dig and talking to the people who are on there working it, and hopefully we'll get a little interview recorded as well and put that probably on the Archaeology show, depending on the content of the interview, but it'll probably go on the Archaeology show. So that'll be really fun.
Ooh, one of my favorite food podcasts, like he was showing, like, he posted a photo of like his like, on the go podcasting setup where someone's like walking around and crap. And so he's got his SM58, and then he's got like a shotgun microphone in his other hand, and he just goes around and points it at people. That way he doesn't have to hand them a microphone. They can just talk or do whatever, which I thought was super cool. Although a lot of cables.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I'm just going to do it simple with the H6 here, and I've got a handful of microphones, and I don't plan on really walking around too much. I might try to get some ambient noise with the H6, but I'm probably just gonna probably do a sit down a little bit with probably Steven, and if they want to, maybe some of the veterans that are working on the project as well. So
ooh, cool.
Yeah. So that should be fun.
Before we get too far into the podcast, I found something like, we're always like looking for like little gadgets and stuff. I don't know if this will show at all, but
can't see it too well. Yeah, let's see the container.
It looks like a Tupperware container, but if you look at it, it says pasta pasta, and what it is you stick the specified amount of pasta in here, and then you put the water in, and then 12.5 minutes later you have pasta. Which I thought was super cool. And before anyone asks,
you don't have to boil it?
Yeah. And before you ask the obvious, why would I need something to boil pasta? It's because I was using the same pot to boil the pasta and then cook the sauce. And I'm like, it'd be just a lot faster if I just had something else to boil the pasta. And then that way I can make the sauce at the same time. So that way they're just both ready, and I don't have to like spend twice as much like cleaning the pot again and like getting it going and everything.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah,
nice.
I've had it for a while.
That's cool.
I just saw it in my kitchen table somewhere. Like, oh, I should probably talk about this on air.
Yeah, no, that's pretty neat. I love the little. I always love the little gadgets.
Oh, that reminds me. Are you still using the straw?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Jobo straw or whatever it's called for coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime I'm in my Oculus headset and I have a cup of coffee, I mean, it's the best way to drink. I've only I've never actually spilled anything, but I've come pretty close reaching for it and almost hit that straw and just knock the whole cup and everything over. So,
Oh,
but I haven't quite done it yet.
wait, Oculus, isn't that the company that Facebook owns? And they did that demonstration this week of their own like Meta branded VR goggles.
Well, Oculus is Meta, so they still just call it the Oculus Quest 2. That's the brand name of it. But
Ah,
Meta, Facebook's company,
yeah.
is the company that produces it. And yeah, they just announced the $1,500 mixed reality Oculus Pro. And it is more geared towards business.
Yeah,
They're
that's what I heard.
specifically saying that, which is smart because if the business market can get on board with it, and people get used to using something like that at work, so to speak, then they're more than likely to bring it home. But anyway, it's got
Eye tracking?
scanners, and it's got eye tracking. It's got all kinds of stuff, and it's gonna apparently scan your body, and you'll have legs for the first time in VR, because there's a lot of legless bodies in VR. But then I saw an article, somebody, either
Yeah.
Apple put this information out or it was leaked out, but Apple's been working on VR, AR, mixed reality
Oh yeah, yeah.
headset for a while now. Yeah, and theirs is reported to have, and they're
Yeah.
saying now, it's always been it'll be out in some years' time, but now they're saying it should be out next year, and it'll be more
Ooh.
expensive than the Oculus Pro, is what I've heard. But who knows about that? But anyway, it's supposed to have, because Apple's all about biometrics, right? Because
Yeah.
they've had fingerprint, you've got face scanning
Oh yeah.
for the phone. And the tablet, and this one, since you can't really do either of those to identify who the user is,
Yeah.
they're going to be doing iris scanning. So it's literally going to scan the inside of your eyeball and identify you the minute you put the headset on. So you can have multiple users, and the minute you put it on, it knows who you are. So yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that makes me think. I don't know if you remember the Avengers, the
Mm,
the first one, where they had to
yeah.
dig that guy's eyeball out of his head to like access some vault.
I don't I don't remember that, but I do remember Tom Cruise doing that in Minority Report.
Oh yeah, that too.
So yeah, he's basically walking around with a set of eyeballs, his eyeballs, because he had changed his out because everything was identified through retinal scan,
I mean, that's kind of.
so
I
he
mean,
got new eyes.
were they still good though? Could he have put them back in?
I mean, I don't think so. Biologically, they were like deteriorating. It's not like they were in a, protective environment. They were just in a Ziploc bag, it looked like. So yeah, I can't imagine they would have worked on the scanners for too much longer because they'd just dry out.
Oh,
But
one
yeah,
thing that came out that we forgot to talk about, or maybe we have talked about it and we're about to repeat ourselves. But have you seen the
shoot right at me.
the Apple Watch Ultra?
I have, and I'm very much considering getting it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just like the bigger screen on it, and I love the
Ooh,
big screen on mine
yeah.
compared to like my wife's. She's got the one that's the size smaller than this, and we are actually just comparing something just the other day.
Yeah.
In fact, when we get like
Hmm.
likes rolling in from Instagram or something like that, you see the pop up on here,
Yeah.
and it always puts the name of the account in parentheses. But it puts the name of the
Oh, what do you
account
mean?
and then a colon and then in parentheses. Well, it says like parentheses Roadster Adventures colon and parentheses to show you what account the notification's coming from, and then shows you the notification, right?
Yeah.
Well, on my watch, I can see all of that on one line, but on
Uh,
hers, the colon and the
yeah.
parentheses go to the second line. So she's like, why are they adding a text smiley face to every notification? I was like, that is not a text smiley face. That is just like your watch being too small. So,
Ah,
but that's not the only thing. The Ultra provides a lot more functionality with some different things. I can't remember everything that it does, but
it's also rugged,
it's
right?
just, yeah, it's well, listen, I have had an Apple Watch every day since about 2 weeks after the first one came out.
Yeah.
And
So have a lot of
when
people.
I got mine,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and when I got mine, I know exactly when it was. It was 2015, because
that.
I was on the, you were on it too. We were in El Centro, and
Yeah.
we were on that big project for the military, and it was I got the watch,
Yeah.
and ever since then, I've never had any sort of case around it. I tried putting a little screen protector on it, like a little Zag screen protector on it, but I hated that. Took it off right away.
Oh.
And I've never had any sort of protector on my watch whatsoever. And I've done a lot of field work. I've done a lot of other stuff. I've done a lot of different things, and
Yeah.
I've never cracked a screen. never scratched it in any significant way, never done anything. And I am not a small person. I bang my shoulders and stuff into walls and stuff all the time. My
Yeah.
watch is always hitting the wall on something, and literally never had anything wrong with it. So for people that say it's not rugged, I mean, I've swam with it. I've been in the ocean with it. I've been
Yeah.
snorkeling with it in the sea. I've been, you
Well,
name it,
well, the thing
and
is
it just
that
keeps ticking.
people were saying that like the oh god the Apple Watch Ultra is like now waterproof to like X number of meters, like I
And
forget what
more
it
than
was.
I'll ever need.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
forget who was Marquez Brownlee was talking to people, and he's like, yeah. He was talking to a diver, and he's like, yeah, I wear this watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wear a watch, and then I have, like, my dive computer. But now I can get rid of both and just have, like, one watch. And more importantly, after I'm done with work, I can just, like, keep wearing it. I don't have to, like, swap it out.
Well, and that is one of the things that this is doing. It's integrating with a lot of other stuff. So as far as the dive stuff goes, which actually could be relevant for me
Ooh,
this winter. I'll talk
yeah.
about that in a second. But anyway, it is doing a lot of those things. Like, like the regular Apple Watch will do, a lot of cool things like, barometric pressure and just like all these different things,
Yeah.
and integrate with different sorts of exercise and workouts and stuff like that. But the Ultra just takes it to another level, right?
Yeah.
Because it is replacing, a lot of that stuff. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, we're spending the month of February
Ooh,
with an RVing group in Puerto Penasco, Mexico, a little
ooh.
town. Actually, not a little town. It's kind of a big city
Yeah.
on the north end of the Sea of Cortez. It's only about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from Arizona,
Yeah.
but we're going to be spending a month there in an RV park that's like right on the beach. And I'm thinking, I know they must have this there, but I was thinking that'd be a good opportunity and a fun time to maybe try to get dive certified, because I've always
Ooh.
wanted to scuba dive, and since we'll be there for a month, it would be a good opportunity to get that done. The only thing with that is,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely not going to buy a whole bunch of dive equipment if we get done with that. It's like all these sports, it's like I'd like to get more into snow skiing, but I don't want to buy all the equipment for it. I'd like to
Yeah.
get more into, whatever. That's why I like hiking. Like, I already have all that stuff, it's a
Yeah.
backpack and a pair of shoes.
Oh, snowshoeing.
Well, snowshoeing, true, but you still need snowshoes. And I'll tell you what, for something you only do a handful of times a year, that's not the kind of thing you put in your RV.
That's
You know what I
true.
mean? Just, maybe once I get rid of all these damn batteries, then I can have some more space. But yeah, otherwise,
So you didn't bring your Nitro RC car with you?
really didn't. I got rid of that a long time ago. Yeah,
That's one of the things I remember.
long
I'm
time
like,
ago.
it just seemed to be
Yeah,
always broken.
it was. It was fun to drive, but yeah, that thing broke easily. It never the primary drive components broke. It was always like, I don't know, something else that broke that was inconsequential for the most part. But either way, yeah, that was what my brother gave me a long time ago.
Plus, it seems like flying
So,
drones is more your thing anyway.
yeah, even that though, man, we've been in a lot of places lately where I haven't even taken the thing out of the box in like a month. Staying up at the airport instead, and national parks. You can't take it out of national parks,
Yeah, and I
and
assume you can't fly near
it's
the
been a lot of
border.
places. I mean, not like at the border, no. So yeah, the Canadian border. I might fly it out of here though. That'd be fun.
Ooh,
I do like throwing it up in the air as we're just like leaving a place, just to
yeah.
kind of get that aerial view of us kind of pulling out.
Ooh, because
That's
one of
pretty
my
cool.
favorite channels
But
does that too.
yeah,
Although
yeah,
I imagine that,
yeah,
like,
it's
the way they do it, like, I'm not sure how you're gonna do it, but the way they do it, you can tell it takes a lot of time because you have to drive back and forth to make it look like to get all the angles you want, and it's just like, man, it's a lot of setting up.
yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. I would more than likely just set the drone kind of off at an angle
Yeah,
so it can stay stationary and just kind of catch us going out. Because here's the thing, my wife won't fly it.
why not?
She'll just like pivot it if I ask her to, but I don't know. She's not intuitive with it really yet, and just doesn't really get it. And then I'm trying to drive.
Yeah,
So, but it is pretty cool with that small drone. I've done this before where I've gotten us going out, and then I just stop and then I fly it over to my driver's side window and
yeah.
I just grab it, bring it in.
Oh, one thing I noticed is that the Roadster Instagram's getting more engagement. Like, does this mean you're almost popular enough to start doing more videos?
I doubt it. We don't even have 500 followers yet. So
You'll get there.
yeah, I know it's ridiculous though. Like I put up this stupid reel. I thought it was dumb. I
Yeah.
just wanted to show our site, and it's just walking from the front to the back. You saw it,
Yeah.
and to our chairs down here that are behind me or the platform, and the damn thing is up over. It's almost at 13,000 views.
See?
And over 200 likes, which is not anything for Instagram, but it's
True.
a lot for us, right? Like our typical might be, I don't know, 50 to 100, and like a good one will get into a few hundred, and then occasionally we get one that goes over 10,000. If you look back in our real history,
Yeah.
we might have 3 or 4 in the past year that have gone over 10,000, and that's it.
Well, maybe you're
But I
giving
don't know what hits and what doesn't.
maybe you're giving too much credit to the people of Instagram, and maybe it should just all be silly, dumb videos.
I guess. I don't know, man. Yeah, I really don't know.
I mean, looking
Sometimes
at
you
some of
think
the
it's
political
music.
ads I see.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's maybe didn't pick the right sound or something like that, or
Yeah.
it's hashtags, sound. I don't know what it is. So anyway, I'm not too concerned with it. We're just having fun. It's just a chronicle of what we're doing, and I don't really put much stock in it. It is fun to see, likes and stuff roll in, and to look at a video that got some good engagement, but it's that's not the point of it. If that were the point of it, I wouldn't have made 2 posts almost back to back this morning, because you're not really supposed to do that if you want more engagement.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, you split your engagement that way, right?
Oh.
People aren't going to see everything. So, but I put up I felt like I had no choice, because I had so much good video from Carlsbad Caverns yesterday when we went. And then, was that yesterday? It might have been Thursday. And then a lot of good still pictures. And I don't like to put the still pictures in with the reels. And so I did both. I put the video in a reel, and I put the still pictures in a post. And yeah, they're both doing poorly, but average for us.
Oh, now that you're outside the RV, there's like a question I meant to ask. Like, does your RV do anything fun on the outside? Like, does it have like a bar or a kitchen or like a TV like your last one?
It definitely has a TV. That's pretty standard. Although I've opened that bay to the TV once since we got it, and that was when we bought it, and I haven't opened it since.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of circumstances where you want to sit outside and watch TV, and it's because we don't want to annoy other people. I mean, if there was some sort of a gathering or a party happening, and we could open that up and play some music or something, then with everybody else, then that'd be one thing. But there's not a lot of use for the outside TV. But no, aside from that, it's pretty standard out here. It's pretty regular. The one thing I do like has nothing to do with hanging out here, but this is a diesel, which means it's on a Freightliner chassis, and it has air ride suspensions. So when we put the jacks down, the first thing that happens when I hit the auto level on the jacks is all the airbags dump, and the whole RV goes like a city bus. It goes, lowers down, and then the jacks go down. And the nice thing is, when it lowers, that means the jacks don't have to go up as high. Like our last RV, even if it was mostly level but only a little bit off, I mean, it's invariably one of the sets of tires is going to be off the ground, and or shocks fully extended or something like that, because the RV sat so high up off the ground. This one sits high up off the ground when it's running, but when you stop it and you drop the airbags, it sinks down almost to nothing. And I'm looking at it. You can't see this right now, but we're the spot we're in angles towards the back of the spot, so the back end is a little bit higher than the front end. But because it drops the airbags first, the front end, when you look at it, in fact, I kind of want to shoot a video for this and play lowrider or something along with it, because the front end is like 4 inches off the ground.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be. It just looks really cool sitting like that, though. So, yeah.
Do you have a lot of neighbors there?
It's pretty full park. There's spots available, but it's been a pretty good mix of people coming in and out. So yeah.
Also, my God,
not too bad.
It's interesting. I was driving by I'm working in up in the Sierra National Forest this week, and there was a campground. Like, it used to be a campground before the big fire that went through there. And next time I drove through, it was like all people just like parking their like fifth wheels and Class A's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's either A, people who are just parking there and like not using them, which I feel like you see a lot if like if the park is cheap enough. Or
Right.
alternatively, I think it might also just be people who are just working there. Because I feel like most of the Airbnbs are going to people who are working there now. But I just thought I'd point that out as like,
Hmm.
as it's interesting that a campground went from mostly tents to like giant fifth wheels.
Yeah, well, if they burned all the trees and stuff down, it's not going to be too conducive to tent camping.
That's
So,
true too. I didn't think about
you
that
know,
too.
yeah, yeah, RVers don't really care about that, especially if they have power, because they can just run their AC units. But yeah, tent campers, it would suck to not have any shade. If it was hot out. If it's not hot out, then it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But yeah, hey, that reminds me.
Yeah.
Just thinking about, for some reason, I was thinking about temperature and stuff like that. I saw
Yeah.
an image the other day. A group of mountaineers
Yeah.
took a DJI Mavic 3 to the top of Mount Everest and
Ooh.
then launched it and took pictures. And I think it was DJI I saw the email from.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's pictures of the top of Mount Everest and that whole range. And the Mavic was flying at, it was something like 30,500 feet or something like that, because it was higher than the mountain, of course, because they
Yeah.
launched it and then went up. I didn't even know there would be enough like
Because
resistance
helicopters
in
can't
the
get up that
air.
high.
No, no. Well, that's because of their engines. There's not
Yeah.
enough oxygen to combust in the engines, but the Mavic 3 is electric. But
Ooh.
even then, I wasn't sure if the small props, if there'd be enough
Yeah.
like mass or whatever the word is to the air for the props to really work effectively, and the wind at 30,000 feet.
Oh.
I mean, I'm surprised at all that they got that thing to even go. I would just assume
Yeah.
that it is always windy across the peak of Mount Everest, but maybe it's
Ooh.
not.
Well, or maybe DJI was
So,
trying to show off like it's like self-centering technology, hovering technology.
I mean, even then, it's only so good, right? Like I've had some pretty cool stable video and some heavy winds with all of my DJI devices, but yeah, sometimes it just throws up a warning and it says that's enough, we're coming down. So and it would be funny too to hear the whole story, because
Yeah.
you can remotely, while it's flying,
Yeah.
save the video or pictures off of the device onto your phone.
Ooh.
So if you lose the device while you're flying, anything you haven't saved, obviously it's going to be gone. But if you have saved it and the device ends up crashing and
Dude.
flying off into the sunset,
Yeah.
uh, then that's okay, because you still have everything. It's on your phone.
Oh.
So it'd be funny if they actually lost that device because it got blown away in a freaking gale force wind, but they got a few stills before that happened.
Ooh. Well, lighter load to go down.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, before
So
I forget, have you been tempted by their first person view drone yet?
no, I'm not really into those. You really need a place to like fly those and do stuff with it. And it sounds kind of fun, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah.
Because I remember that time, God, we were outside the collective, and there was that dude who was sitting outside with us who had
Hmm.
one of those first person view drones.
Yeah. 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 It was a racing drone. Those things are crazy. It's they're pretty awesome, but no, I haven't really tried it. I had the DJI goggles for a little while,
I remember
and they
that.
didn't really work. Yeah, they didn't really work too well with the what was that big one I had
The
called?
Inspire?
The the Inspire Pro. Didn't really work well with that because they weren't designed for it.
Yeah.
But you could still see like an FPV view out of the
Ah,
drone. It was really, they were at the time they were designed for the Mavic,
yeah.
and with the Mavic you could turn it into like steering mode with your head. So you just like look this way and the drone flies that way. And
Ooh.
that was really cool. But the Inspire didn't work that way. So really, I was just looking out
Oh.
of the camera as it was going. But the linkage wasn't super great, and there was a little bit of a lag, and it was just it was disorienting. These FPV drones were completely different, but they're just designed for that kind of thing, but and very
Wait,
responsive. But yeah,
isn't like what eye tracking is for on the Oculus? Like, you're supposed to be able to just look at a document and like activate it or something? Or am I wrong?
on the Pro,
The
the
one
new one,
the one they just introduced this week.
yeah, yeah. I mean, theoretically, yeah. I don't know how you select something like that though. You're gonna have to go back to what was that sci-fi with the kids? Oh shoot, what was the name of that?
The only thing I can think of is like
Anyway,
Harry Potter.
No, it's it was a sci-fi series where they were basically recruiting children to play in these simulators, but it turns out they weren't simulators. They were actually controlling drones in an army in a war they were fighting. What the hell's the name of it? It's a very famous book,
Oh,
written
wait.
decades ago.
Wait, not Ready Player One, but the other one.
No,
Ender's War?
yeah, Ender's Game.
Ender's Game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
that whole thing. Their visual interfaces used blinking, right? So you
Yeah.
look at something and you blink one or two, three times, whatever it is, to engage with the thing, and people get really adept at that. And I was like, well, that's got to be where something like that is going, because if I just glance at something, I don't necessarily want to activate it. I just want to look at it, you know. So you
Oh.
need some way to be intentional about it. You know what I mean?
Oh. Because I was thinking, man,
But
it'd be handy if you could just like look at the volume control on your radio instead of having like, because a lot of people are complaining that they're taking away the knobs on modern
yeah,
cars. And I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if you could just look at it on your dashboard and just like raise your eyes a little and suddenly the volume would go up or
yeah,
go down?
but how does that work? Because the new stereo in the RV has CarPlay, so I'm
Yeah.
using my phone for navigation. It has its own navigation, and it's actually
Yeah.
RV navigation. But we use an app called RV Life paired with
Yeah.
RV Trip Wizard. They're all part of the same company,
Ooh.
and that allows us to really just do our trip planning. I don't want to just punch in our address in the GPS that came with the unit,
They're usually
even though
terrible
it is
anyway.
RV. And well, it's actually pretty good though. It's an updated Garmin database, and it's the RV trucker Garmin, so it has all the bridge clearances, and
Ooh.
you punch in your weight and your length and your height and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and it takes all into account with route planning. But the one we use, RV Trip Wizard, like we put in usually
Yeah.
1 or 2 months worth of trips in one big trip, and then we'll do these big chunks, and then next time we drive, I just pick the
Yeah.
next stop on the list, and we can see, what we're doing and how far we're going. So I still like using that. But anyway, the point is,
Oh.
when that is sitting over on my display on the stereo, I'm looking at it a lot, like a lot. And I wouldn't want to glance over there and have it respond to me looking at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm always looking at it just for reference, and it's too small of a screen to be able to really do anything. But I've got
Ooh.
volume right on my steering wheel, so that works for the stereo.
Oh, that's cool too. But see,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think he checked out. But on YouTube, let's see. Mark asks, "Sorry, I got in here late. Are you guys working on anything interesting this fall?" And my answer is, I never know. I'm just gonna be working.
Well, from an APN standpoint, like I said, we've got one of our hosts is putting together we're calling them, it's through Culturo. It's not from the Archaeology Podcast Network. It's the Culturo, which is the overarching thing we created a year ago
Yeah.
over this for these types of things.
Oh yeah.
And I think we're tentatively calling it like Culturo Share, because it's not a conference really.
Yeah.
It's like a knowledge share event that's interactive with the audience, and I took it out of my hands. Like I don't have the time to plan that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So one of our hosts is taking it and run with it, and I don't even know what the theme is yet. So, or who the speakers are going to be, but it's going to be more than likely in about the third week of November. And as soon as we have some details firmed up about it, then we'll start heavily promoting it. So,
I mean,
but
just
it
in
will
time
be
for
free.
Thanksgiving.
I think it's going to be that week, to be honest, but it's being run out of Germany. So,
Ooh.
yeah, it'll probably be, I'm hoping it's, I told her, I was like, listen, I understand if you got to run it in your evening, which means it'll be, 4 o'clock in the morning for the West Coast of the United States. But, it might be an inconvenient time like that. But either way, the next one hopefully won't be. And we'll be going back and forth, and maybe we'll get some parallel events running, for all the time zones. But anyway, it should be fun. And it'll be free to attend, like all of our events. But if you want to see the recording afterwards, then you have to be a member, and you get access to all the recordings in the back catalog. So,
before I forget, are you guys? I mean, it's almost like it's like halfway through the month, so there's like 2 weeks to go. Are things gonna like got anything interesting planned for when the APN returns from its break?
Yeah, just a whole bunch of brand new episodes. We've already got them all stacked up, ready to go for at least the first half of the month, and kicking right back off. So should be heading back into it. It's good to have this kind of break, and I'm considering every year taking a month off, probably December.
That probably
in reality, it'd be a little better. October was opportunistic, but it's been a good experiment, and I think taking December off and having giving hosts the ability to keep recording, and then we can get ahead on the editing, and then everybody can just get a little bit ahead, and then you end up getting behind again.
Yeah.
When it comes back around. But if we just take the month of December off every year, then I think that'll help us out and help us keep putting content out, because none of the hosts on the APN are full-time podcasters. We all have day jobs. We all have other things we're doing.
Well, unless you're
And
Anna, and then you're like doing something very similar.
very similar, but still not her podcast.
Yeah.
So, her podcast is still a side hobby. She's not getting paid to do it. She is a little bit. She's getting advertising money from the APN. But aside from that, it's not enough to live on. That's for sure.
So you're not like the next Joe. You're not. No one's going to be the next Joe Rogan or anything anytime soon.
I don't think anybody wants another Joe Rogan.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know. But no, I think even if every single person who listens to an APN podcast decided to become a member,
yeah,
that would still, that would be enough for us to actually pay all of our hosts to possibly do this, as less than a hobby and more of an intentional thing. But even then, you're really paid by your output. So like if you're doing a monthly show or even a weekly show, you're not going to be able to live off a weekly show, unless we're getting 1 million downloads an episode and we have, massive amounts of money coming in. It's going to be tough to live off a weekly show. Most of those shows that are really raking it in are doing it way more frequently than weekly.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Or they're connected to something bigger. Like I listen to a bunch of New York Times podcasts,
Yeah, exactly. If it's, I barely consider those podcasts, but even so, when they're corporate run like that, and who knows, maybe we won't need as many members. It would be nice to get more members because I like to be listener supported. But Zencaster, who we record through, and we've had a good advertising deal through. We've stopped advertising with them as the last deal ended at the end of September, and we didn't re-up for October only because they are massively changing, not changing, but adding new features to their platform, and they're adding dynamic ad insertion and all kinds of stuff, and we are going to be switching all the podcasts on the network over to the Zencaster platform probably by January 1st would be my guess.
Ooh.
And then 3 of the shows are already on there. They're already hosted on there. And so the rest of them hopefully will come over because they're supposed to have this done by the end of this month, maybe next month. And when that happens, they're also bringing in advertisers, and they're pairing advertisers with shows, and of course they're taking a little bit of a cut. I think I've talked about this before, but they've already got a handful that are interested in advertising on the APN. So if I can start filling those slots, then we won't need as many members, to be honest. It's nice to have them because we can just do more stuff. We can do more shows and do more things, but I'd love to just be able to get some things paid for here, take some stuff off my plate, which means hiring somebody to do the things that I'm doing, and then I can just focus on content.
Like hiring someone who will stay hired.
I mean, anytime you like put somebody on the payroll, they're a little more serious about it. So yeah, I'm done with volunteer editors. We have some producers. We have a couple of volunteer editors that are really good right now, and they're doing like one show and they're really killing it. But for the most part, I've had editors before that just like, they come and go really fast. And I don't blame them. It's a lot of work for no money. Why would you do that? I almost judge them for wanting to be an editor, a volunteer editor, but either way. So
before
we got to start wrapping it up here in a few minutes.
Well, unfortunately I cannot show it, but my God, I bought something and I really wish I had brought it in. It's in my truck right now. I don't have time to go out and grab it, but they thanks to Coffee Nerds, they now make scales, but like small scales, because I've always had like a pretty big scale to like weigh my coffee and my and water. But now the small scales they used to sell before were meant for like super low weights. But now I have a small scale, it's about the size of my phone, that does like 3,000 grams, which means I can actually use it in the morning with all my equipment to like, measure everything out.
Nice.
So maybe I'll do a video on that. Nice. And I also bought a new hand coffee grinder to replace the giant one that I had been bringing back and forth.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be even an Instagram reel at some point if I can ever wake up early enough. Well, I
There
mean,
you
I wake
go.
up
There you
early, but
go.
usually I'm like I'm doing stuff, and I'm like, well, I have to wake up twice as early.
Mm-hmm. What, to do a reel?
Yeah, because you gotta set.
Nah, you don't.
Because you gotta get. Well, for me, I gotta get stuff set up, and I gotta make. Because it's hard to hold. It's hard to
Yeah,
hold to hold the phone and do stuff. Because I've tried that
yeah,
before.
it's
So it's
true.
like I gotta get like a tripod set up and stuff, especially for grinding coffee. Like I can't even imagine how I'd like hold the phone and grind coffee at the same time
Right,
with a hand grinder.
right. I'll tell you, that reminds me.
Yeah,
One thing I may be looking into this fall,
yeah,
probably not until we get to North Carolina, just because
yeah,
we're moving too much in the next month to get anything shipped to us that's
yeah.
not coming from Amazon. But the DJI Osmo Mobile 6
Oh wait.
looks
Ooh,
like, yeah, I had the DJI Osmo like first gen when it first came out,
yeah, I
and it
remember
was
that.
okay. I didn't like it. I didn't like it for some things. It
Yeah,
was good for what it did, but it just wasn't quite there yet. But the
and you had the
six,
3D print
not,
legs.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, some sort of stand to put it on. But the six comes with, not only is it telescoping, so you can actually
Ooh,
use it kind of like a selfie stick,
yeah.
but you can also easily go portrait and landscape. And then it also has an attachment on the handle that turns it into a tripod, so you can just set
Ooh,
it down and tripod it real quick. It's really come a long way with the stabilization and then all the other
ooh.
features that it does. So might be picking up a couple of those for Rachel and I,
Oh
because I
wait.
think we're kind of done with the GoPros,
Yeah.
to be
Oh
honest with you.
really? Oh, good for you. I mean,
Well, the
have you?
cameras just do such a better job, to be honest, for what we need, and they're
Yeah.
more convenient rather than carrying around the GoPro.
Well, the thing is, I remember Marquez Brownlee started a new auto theme channel, and he literally
Mm-hmm.
just uses his iPhone or whatever phone he's testing that week for video.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you're depending on what you're doing, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the video quality is good,
Yeah.
and the sound quality can be made good if you get the right device. But of
Yeah.
course, GoPro needs external sound too. So what's the difference? Um, but also, the one thing the GoPro has going for it that's inherent within the device is the image stabilization is really good.
Ooh.
Whereas on like a phone, the image stabilization is not as good. But if you've got the right kind of thing that with a holder,
Yeah.
solves that problem, and you
Oh.
probably need something like that anyway.
Well, wait. What about the 360 cameras that been seeing a bunch of YouTubers using? The one where basically you just like are carrying it, and then you can like choose to frame whatever you want. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it still sounds like a lot of work.
Oh, it is.
Because you gotta pull out of it, So, but I
Oh
want it to
wait.
be as painless as possible.
Oh wait. The new DJ Osmo. Does it follow you around as you're like walking?
That would be part of the software, if
Ooh.
you're running it through the DJI app, I would assume. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if it does. And in fact, I think it does have like facial and like motion tracking. If I'm remembering the video I
Ooh.
watched
Because I've always had
accurately
a
enough.
dream of
Yeah.
like being able to walk around the site and like hold up artifacts or bring them back to the camera. It'd be super cool if like a camera could just like follow me without needing another person there.
Honest, Honestly, I think it could.
Ooh.
I really think it could. Yeah. So that would be neat.
Cool.
But
Alrighty. And it's we hit our
all
10 o'clock
right.
limit. So
Yep. Pretty much time to get on the road.
so I assume we're Mark says he's still here, but we're about to leave. But all
Yeah.
right. So gonna see you next week,
We
same time.
we may not be on next weekend. We are going to
Ooh.
be at the Formula One race,
Oh
and
yeah.
we will more than likely be at the track at this time. I'll have to
Ooh.
see what the schedule is, but if we can do it, we'll do it. If we can't, then we'll be on the following weekend. So
Oh, because I was gonna say,
yeah,
knock on wood, but I should be able to do Friday. I mean, we can talk about this off air, but it's just to get people
it's
prepared.
no, it's for people. Yeah, it's a long weekend. We like to go to all the practice sessions and the qualifying, and there's two
Ooh.
practice sessions on Friday,
Yeah.
a practice and a qualifying on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday. But there's also tons of other little events that happen in between those. There's other
Yeah.
series that race, and there's other things. So
Ooh.
I remember last year we were at the track pretty much like all day Saturday,
Yeah.
and from Friday we were at the track from about 11 to like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So and Friday night we're seeing Green Day. They're
Oh,
playing on
really?
the track. Yeah, yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh my God. The
So
other Green Day has gotten to the point where they're actual like, cover bands of them, like tribute bands. Like I saw on South Lake Tahoe
yeah,
and I'm like, wow, this is like, how you can tell that South Lake Tahoe has a higher class of you know, people than
yeah,
I've been dealing with. And more importantly, that they're of a certain age.
Well, yeah, and it's funny because I'm interested to see the crowd that's going to be there because I actually paid for. It's free to go to the concert if you just want to sit way far back up in the grass. But I paid for some seats for us, and I think it was like $60 or $70 for the seats.
Yeah.
But Ed Sheeran is playing Saturday night, and the Ed Sheeran tickets were like $200 a piece for the same seats. And I'm like, Jesus, that is intense. So we'll probably go see him too, but we'll probably just sit back in the grass. So
well, it also
I could probably be able to hear him from the RV.
It also depends because it's a long story, but I follow other podcasts obviously, and TwitchCon went on. If anyone knows what that is in our audience, but basically that's the convention that Twitch, the live streaming service puts on, and they invited like Megan the Stallion.
Nice.
And yeah, and when the one person was at the concert was going crazy, and then she was looking around, she's realized that like almost none of the pasty white video gamers in the audience knew who this person was or why she was there. And I'm like,
right.
So it makes me wonder how many people are actually going to know Ed Sheeran.
We'll see. He's pretty popular. So, all right.
All right.
All right, man. Well, we may or may not see everybody next weekend, but definitely the following weekend.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially, hopefully, knock on wood, I keep my weekends from now on.
Right.
And hopefully everyone enjoyed the fact that I was mostly staring at the screen this time, thanks to my new setup.
There you go. Nice.
All
nice.
Right. Hang on.
All right. Follow Roadster Adventures on Instagram, RODSTER Adventures, and then your Instagram is
oh god, it takes too long. FTBVSANDUPTTS, which sounded cool way back when I first started, but
yes, but difficult to say. All right, everybody. See you later.
Good.